This is how legends are made.
Hello, guys. This is Judas Black Talks with Judas back here tonight, as promised. Congo Kong to my side over here. How you doing tonight, brother?
Not too bad, man. How about yourself?
I'm not doing too bad. Cannot complain. My partner tonight still ain't here. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's trying to get things in order. But tonight we are back here on the podcast. We like to kind of give the wrestlers the spotlight to start the show. So I want to kind of give you a few minutes, talk about yourself, who you are, where you got your coming ups, and what's going on with you.
All right. My name is Steve Wilson. I go under the name Congo Kong. I've been wrestling for 26 years. I got my start in Holland, Michigan back in 1998. I broke into the business with Jimmy Jacobs and some other semi-notable names. And yeah, spent the last 26 years, trying to make a name for myself and build it to where I can live off of wrestling, which not many people can say they can do unless they make it to a WWE or AEW.
Absolutely. Recently we had an interview with one of your students by the name of the Bomb Eric Surge. What can you say about that young man, just real quick, like?
Man, I told him when he came to training, I said I can't give you the world, but I can give you the tools to go ahead and conquer it, place it at your feet. And that's what he's doing, and I'm proud of him for that. For taking advantage of the opportunity that he's been afforded, and and getting where he's going. I have a feeling that no matter who trained him, he would be he'd be in the position he's in right now. But I'm super grateful that he ended up training with me. So
Absolutely. So, can you tell us a little bit more about this academy of yours? Because I understand it's in Michigan or Indiana.
Yeah, it's actually in Bluffton, Indiana, which is 30 minutes south of Fort Wayne, Indiana. We meet twice a week, and we're there for 2.5, almost 3 hours every time, and we go over the necessities for becoming a decent professional wrestler. There's a lot of schools that don't teach everything that should be taught these days, and you see a lot of guys go out and crash and burn. But I try to give guys a good foundation, and teach them how to have a match even when things go crazy. When you forget your next spot, and you can still go back to something and be okay.
Absolutely correct. So we know, you told us you've been in the business for 26 years, and we know your coming ups and stuff. But how did you get into wrestling? What made you say, "I want to be a wrestler"?
I wanted to be a wrestler since I was a kid, since roughly around the Hogan Slamming Andre era. Even my dad says, when I was 5 years old, I was telling people I wanted to be Hulk Hogan. And it just so happened that one time when I was home from school, from the college I went to on a football scholarship, I saw a poster and it had wrestling on it, an independent show, local show, and had a number at the bottom that said, if you're interested in becoming a wrestler, call this number. And I called the number, and needless to say, I didn't play any more football at that school, and I was becoming a pro wrestler.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you said, I want to be a wrestler. This is what I want to do. So I'm going to make it
Mhm.
happen. And you took that phone number down and you gave them a call. So for you, who is your favorite wrestler and why?
Um, most athletic big guys. So like Vader, Yokozuna, Bam Bam. I love Andre. Um, yeah, just big men that can get in there and move because that's me. And so that's pretty much everybody that I've kind of formed myself afterwards. After Vader is probably the one that comes to mind the most. Um, he's just been a he was unseen at the time. He was something
Yeah,
that you just didn't see. He was just an anomaly, and he was a special attraction.
absolutely. Absolutely. So Vader it is. I mean, and there's a lot of big names out there. Big Show, Umaga, current times Braun Strowman, and not so big, tall guys, but just quick and fast guys like Braun Breaker.
Right.
Just an absolute monster in the ring when it comes to moving around. Um, what advice would you give to someone that's just starting out in wrestling?
Um, hmm. Know that you're going to take a lot of no's before you get a few yeses, and um, yeah, just be aware that when you're ready to give up, your breakthrough is going to be right around the corner. So you just can't give up. That's just what it is. You have to stay focused and lean into it, as they say.
You're absolutely correct. You can't give up, and that's just an all-around good aspect on anything you're doing in life. Whether you want to be a dancer, a basketball player, a wrestler, don't give up. Keep pushing forward. Keep striving for it, because if you keep striving for it, eventually you will achieve it. So, um, what's the most rewarding part of wrestling to you?
Uh, I guess rewarding would be when the 3 count hits and the fans give you that reaction that you've been working for that entire time.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of times we tend to forget that it's about them and not about us, and we, kind of want the uh, the attention, the praise to be about us. And I mean, it is, but at the same time, we also have them that we have to take care of. They are in that situation. They are a wife, and we have to make sure that she's satisfied. And if
Yeah,
she's not, she's gonna leave us. You know what I'm saying? So,
I like
um,
the comparison.
that just came to my head, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty factual.
It's true. If your wife ain't happy, she's gonna dip out. She's gonna leave.
She's
She's
gonna
gonna
find
find
somebody
something
else.
to make
Exactly,
her happy.
exactly. So
So
yeah, I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you're good, man. You were saying something else. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ramble on some more.
Hey, man, we're all about the rambling. We're all about the talking. Anything you want to say, man, as long as it's PG.
Right,
Feel
right,
free. I know a bad word every now and going to slip out. That's a fact of the world. Unfortunately, those words are there, and they do happen to slip out every now and then.
right.
But otherwise, we got to keep it to a certain degree of PG. So, what are the biggest challenges in balancing wrestling with other aspects of your life?
Um, that's a good question because, like, now my life is wrestling because everything I do is revolved around it. If I'm not making gear, I am um, training. If I'm not training, I'm on the road going to a show, in wrestling. So my life revolves around it. And I would say beforehand, when I was working a regular job, just trying to figure out how to fit in all my work
Hmm.
you know, in the allowed time that I would be nearby to do it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I get, I'm currently doing the training thing myself currently, and I had to take a brief hiatus, some personal family stuff. But I'm working on getting back to it. But I get it. I work a full time job. I have two kids, and it's hard to find an even balance between everything sometimes. But I do it every month. I stream live for a wrestling promotion known as MCW
Okay.
out of Ottawa, Illinois. And I make those shows every other month. I train with a buddy of mine who's also an inspiring wrestler. Um, and make things happen. That's just how you do it. And the podcasting thing, I will let you know my partner's name is Big Baby Ben. I really wish he could have been here tonight because in the wrestling world, you are what we like to call a legend because you've done it, you've seen it, you've been in the wrestling business for quite some time and done some awesome stuff. And when
I
I
appreciate that.
was told by Eric that his trainer was Congo Kong. I was like, "Do you think he would come on the podcast?" And he's like, "All you can do is hit him up, man. All you can do is say yes and no." So, and I was like,
Right.
"All right, I'm going to do this." So, what is one of the most memorable matches that you've ever been in?
Um, it would probably actually, since you brought it up, would be one of my recent ones with Eric Surge in a cage.
Oh,
Um, and it was kind of a full circle moment for me because back in 2020, I ended up having surgery on my foot, and I had to have part of my foot amputated.
ooh,
Um, and uh, that match was significant because it marked me being able to do now everything that I've done, I was able to do before the surgery, I can now do after the surgery, even
yeah,
with having the foot. So
mm,
we kind of planned some room in there for me to try it and then see where it went. And so I went up and I missed the moonsault the first time, got over just fine, didn't have any rotation issues or excuse me anything like that. And then we got to the finish, and I was like, you know what? I'm going for it. I'm gonna hit it. And so that's what I did. I went up there and was able to hit a doggone near a perfect Kurt Angle style moonsault, and landed on Eric and got the 1 2 3 and all that stuff. And I mean, it was an important moment because it showed me that you can literally do anything you put your mind to. Because when I had the surgery, it kind of came out of nowhere. I caught an infection, and I was having some blood sugar issues and other stuff like that,
yeah,
and um, it came out of nowhere, and I didn't know if I'd be able to wrestle again, let alone do anything like I'm able to, and it's just persistence and work and just not giving up. That's that you'll always hear me talk about that because I was wrestling 18 years before I ever got a break. And it just so happened that I was booked to wrestle on a couple shows in a row with Abyss, and he liked working with me, and he just said, "Hey, I feel like you deserve a shot." And so I want to do what I can to try to get you that shot. And so he did that. Of course, being 18 years in the business at that point, I'm not holding my breath because I don't believe everything that people say. But
absolutely,
he ended up contacting me and getting me set up to get down to Impact for a tryout match, and everything worked out from there.
absolutely, absolutely. So, you just talked about having part of your foot amputated. Um, so, my next question is, how do you handle injuries and stay in peak condition?
Um, ice, elevation, breath. Um, I'm trying to think. aside from my foot in the 20 some years it was at that point, I had not taken very much time off for injuries at all.
Yeah.
Like the longest time I'd ever taken off was when I went back to play football. I took a couple years off of wrestling, but yeah, no injuries kept me out. Like I've done everything from broken ribs to busted tailbone to busted collarbone, boxers fractures, all that,
Who-
and I've always just found a way to keep going afterwards, just because if you don't work, you don't eat.
Very true. If you aren't making the money and the money isn't coming in, there's no way to support yourself.
Yeah.
So, describe your typical training routine, both physical and mental.
Um. Usually just cardio. Making sure that I got a good flow. So I can keep my breath going, and I'm not too big on the weights anymore. A lot of people have noticed that I've slimmed down. I've actually lost. Um, it would be 70 pounds this last round, and 140 total.
Mhm.
So I'm you know slenderizing, I guess, getting skinny, and um, yeah, it's just trying to make sure that I can still put on a good show. I don't have to be like the fastest pony in the race or anything like that, but just to be able to go out there and last a good 20 minutes in front of an audience is important. So really, it's just all about cardio and keeping good focus and knowing how to progress a match, even when you don't have a script to go by.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Sometimes you just got to go out there and just do it and get it
Yeah.
done. So, who do you respect the most in the wrestling business and why?
Uh, who do I respect the most? Um, the '80s and '90s legends that still uh, are out and trying to help the young guys.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that I respect the most. Um, your Barbarian, your Warlord, your Axe and Smash, um, Ted DiBiase, and Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, uh, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Big name.
Yeah, a whole long list of names that are still making rounds to these shows, and we as not only wrestlers but wrestling fans as children still have access to these guys. And I think it's important that we try to take advantage of the knowledge that they are offering, while they're still here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, describe a time for me when you overcame adversity during a match.
During a match,
Things just weren't going your way. Maybe the crowd wasn't feeding right. Things were just rough.
um, the worst issues I would have with that would be when I got guys that just don't listen. They get in there and they're 100 miles an hour because they're working the name or whatever, and like you can't get them to settle down for anything. There was one time I was wrestling a guy, and I go to call the spot to him as he's punching me, and I go, all right, hit the ropes. And before I could say anything else, he had taken off, and I was like, what the? And by the time like I was like trying to call something back to him, and next thing I knew, I was eating a shoulder to the face because
Oh,
he didn't know what to do, so he like panicked and like launched and gave me a shoulder tackle and hit me in the nose. So
oh.
yeah, so I was just like, okay, all right, well, hit the ropes. So I had him hit the ropes, and I lifted him up off the ground with a back elbow, just to try to get his attention. Like, calm down, kid. Like, it's not that bad. Like, hey,
Slow
what's
down.
up? And he goes, He goes, I got you, boss, I got you. I'm like, all right, good. I'm glad we're on the same page finally. Chill out.
Okay. All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, how do you approach teamwork when it's both on and off the mat?
Um, well, it's not really teamwork if you don't listen to the other person or listen to the other people. You kind of have to hear their ideas and then see how they match up with your ideas and see where you can work on a common ground. If you don't have a common ground, you don't have a team. So, um, yeah, you got
Absolutely.
to find that common ground.
Wrestling is all about that teamwork. Because if you're not real willing to listen to people and you're not willing to work with
Yep.
people, it doesn't work. Because you can't be solo and do it all by yourself. Even
Right.
Solo Sikoa has to work with a team.
Right.
So, I want to kind of dig into, Steve Wilson a little bit here for a minute. We know all Congo Kong. It kind of reminds me of kind of a Samoan type deal, get up. That's what it kind of reminds me of, with the whole, like this and the hand out and stuff. We've seen a lot of guys like that, Jacob Fatu, Umaga, um, there's a lot of names. Solo Sokoa, I just named one right there. The big guys that are just what are some of your favorite movies, books, music, things that you enjoy doing outside of wrestling?
Ah, shoot. I guess my all-time favorite movie, to be honest, would be the movie The Color Purple.
Okay.
Um, yeah, just a movie about some hard times being overcame. Really, I mean, and holding on to faith and family and stuff like that. Beyond that, outside of wrestling, I am a avid college football player. I
Okay.
love playing college football on Xbox. No, I don't play online. I don't like playing with people. I'm I'm selfish and stingy like that. But no, that's one of my favorite things to do. Just I don't know why, but it relaxes me.
Okay. All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, what's your favorite food?
Uh, let's see. If I had a type, it would be soul food, obviously, because
Yeah.
everybody likes what they grew up on. But like if it was outside of that realm, then I would say probably Mexican.
Okay. All right.
But
Yeah, for me, it's kind of a other one I grew up on was more like Southern style food, things like down south, like northeastern Kentucky kind of food,
yeah,
um, soup, beans, and stuff like that.
yes,
My
sir.
dad was he was my in my family. My mom knew how to cook, but
Hmm.
my dad did all the cooking.
Yeah.
And when we had our big meals on the holiday, man, you couldn't put away all the food he cooked. It was on
Right.
every countertop. So it was a spread on every holiday.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
my dad he's a very avid cooker and he was good at it. So he didn't complain when he cooked.
Nice.
So what do you find most challenging about wrestling?
Um, Missing out on family time. Um, just different events that you could have gone to that you missed over the years. Um, Not even that they're important and that you would have broken your neck to get to them, but just the mere fact that you had to miss them because you had a prior commitment.
Mhm.
Uh, that can be a really daunting thing about wrestling.
Yeah.
And yeah, not having the time with your family adequate like you need.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So tell me about a time when you felt truly proud of your own performance.
Um, I could probably say the Monsters Ball match because um, at the time I had just lost my grandmother and I had just gotten two tapings that day after going to her funeral,
Yeah.
and being able to go out and put on the match and get good solid reviews and things like that. Is just a moment that kind of it helped me through a hard time. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So, how would you describe your style of wrestling? Because I see it with a lot of big men. I hear about a lot of brutal matches and cages. What's your style of wrestling?
Um, I don't know. That's a good question. Because a lot of promoters like to put it over as like some sort of hostile. There's no hostile. It's just guys going out and they're throwing people around or they're throwing themselves at people. And I'm one of those people that throw themselves at people. Um, like it's more my body is my offense as opposed to me picking you up and tossing you somewhere. Um, just because I think collisions and crashes are cool. People like to see that stuff. People like to see when somebody runs into a wall and gets knocked down.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. You like to see people run into things. So, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing wrestling today? And wrestlers,
Um,
even.
uh, the internet. Um,
Yes.
Wrestlers, both good and with both good intentions and bad intentions, because sometimes your good intentions is just a bad situation anyway. Got to know how and when to use the internet. Can't just go around just because you're mad at somebody and try to ruin their life or whatever, or speak some evil on them that just isn't true. The stuff isn't right, man. You got people out here trying to do this to put food on their table for their family and stuff like that, and other people out here just thinking it's okay. It's no big deal. I'll ruin their life. Um, you know, Lord knows they'll recover and go to something different. They may not. You know, people sacrifice a lot to be entertainers for fans, and so when fans cross those lines, and when hell other wrestlers cross those lines, it's too much. You got to take a step back. You can't be out here so desperate to get yourself over that you're forgetting about your fellow man, because one hand washes the other. If you are supportive and willing to push some of these other people to be better and to be great, then when they get to where they're going, how do you know they won't turn around and say, hey, I need to help you get here now?
Yep.
So it's better to be nicer to people than it is to be mean. You can't just come in off the street and replace people and think that you're going to be instant top dog because they're no longer there. It doesn't work like that. You have to earn that spot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. You know, what are your thoughts on the evolving landscape of wrestling? Like we've seen, WWE go from being owned by Vince McMahon, being owned by the McMahons for years. It was started by the McMahons. And now being ran and owned and operated by TKO, who also owns UFC. And you got the son-in-law of the McMahons, Triple H, who's running the day-to-day operations with everything. And now being willing and open to that forbidden door, allowing wrestlers from TNA, AEW to come into WWE and wrestle. Like we've seen one recent, Randy Orton versus Joe Hendry at WrestleMania. We've seen Moose versus Obafemi. Just some incredible matchups that without the opportunity of the Forbidden Door being open, we may never have seen them. What is your thoughts about all these changes? And do you think they're good changes, or do you think things were fine the way they were?
No, I think change is definitely good, and I think it's crazy that for all those years Vince McMahon acted like he was the only company in the world, and I get why he did it, but at the same time, you missed out on a lot of opportunities. But I also believe in all things for a reason, and here we are. When wrestling was starting to get stale, now all of a sudden we have a different portal to go through. Really, with all these matchups, and things like that, and companies buying out other companies, and excuse me, um, and never did I think that WWE would acknowledge a New Japan
No,
show or star or anything like that. And it's good. It's good for wrestling, and I believe wrestling is booming right now. And yeah, it's just something that was necessary. Just had to take its toll.
yeah, putting the good touch on everything and opening them doors wide open and saying, we're welcome. We're here to welcome all suggestions, things that are going to better the wrestling business. Like Triple H said himself when Monday Night Raw went to Netflix, this is a new era. It's the Netflix era. He didn't mean it just about Netflix. Like he's saying this is a new era in the wrestling world itself. You know,
Right.
and I want to give a shout out tonight to a manager, and I want you to tell me your opinions on this manager. Um,
Right.
None other than the great and wise man, Paul Heyman, who has been an amazing manager in the wrestling business. Everybody he puts that golden hand on has found some kind of major success and fame in the wrestling business. You got names like obviously Brock Lesnar. That name is synonymous with Paul Heyman. CM Punk, and most recently, he went to Roman Reigns, and Roman had a huge 4-year reign as the tribal chief because of Paul Heyman. And then
Right.
now pushing this new faction with Seth frickin' Rollins and Braun Breaker. Like the man doesn't stop. He doesn't quit. He's ran big name promotions like ECW, and it's crazy the things that he's done. But just a huge shout out to him. What is your thoughts on Paul Heyman?
Easily one of the best to do it. I wish I could get the opportunity to be managed by Paul Heyman. Yeah, no, Paul is really sort of a pioneer. Like he each generation has a pioneer. So before him, I would say it was Bobby Heenan, and then he came the rest of the way and is like the next leader of a generation. And
Yeah,
yeah, definitely one of the best.
absolutely correct. So shout out Paul Heyman. We love you, man, and we're definitely watching you every time you're on that television. My name is Paul Heyman. I will always be remembered, man. When that man moves on from this world, I guarantee you, when they play his closeout video, it'll open up with "My name is Paul Heyman." So,
But
what is a memorable moment from your wrestling journey? You've done this for 26 years, so I'm sure it's gonna be hard to dig back a little bit. But a memorable moment in your wrestling journey that really stands out for you.
uh, the time I got to go spend 2 weeks in India,
Okay.
on a tour for Great Khali, uh,
Okay.
and getting to see the backside, the countryside, and how people actually lived over there, and um, just their gratitude for life and really anything in life, um, and just I don't know, being able to say that I got to see the other side of the world on another man's dime because of this fake sport that we're involved in. Because
That
I get to go play.
people like to call fake. Let's not
Right,
use the F word on the
right.
podcast. So did you actually get to meet the great Khali?
Yeah. Yep. I'm
Oh
out
man.
for 2 whole weeks.
I know I see you do this, but man, that man's hand's more like this. So
Yeah.
describe your favorite match ever. What made it special?
Um, Favorite match of mine.
Yep.
Um, Probably when I was wrestling a guy by the name of Hillbilly Jed, who happens to be my best friend. Is
Okay.
based out of Indianapolis, and he's about 5'6", about 400 pounds at the time. He's since lost some weight as well, and I'm about 6'6", 400 some odd pounds at the time. And it was just two big guys going at it for an entire hour. It was called a Three Stages of Insanity match. And yeah, so we did like dog collar, fans bring the weapons, and a leather strap match, I believe. And yeah, we tore it up. We had a lot of fun. Like I said, it was 58 minutes or something like that to be exact. And there
Okay.
wasn't a whole lot of dead time. You know, there was some selling, but no dead time. Just two big guys getting there, going at it, and legit leaving their all in the ring.
Okay, absolutely. You know, you talk about intensity, and I want to bring up something that a show I recently attended, and you got to go check it out. The show that your student Eric Surge was recently a part of, Midwest Championship Wrestling. I don't know if you've watched any of it, but the match of the night that really stood out. It was a rivalry that went on. You know, it started 17 months prior when Chris the Wildcard Mercer ended up with a broken ankle in a match against Austin Michael Baldridge, AMB. And the other night, it was March 25th. That was the date. They faced off in what we like to call an Ottawa street fight. And I mean, these men took each other to the limits, but the role of Extreme really took a turn when they dumped out over 4,000 thumbtacks in the middle of the ring. And Chris the Wildcard Mercer suplexed Austin Michael Baldridge off the top rope through the thumbtacks. Now, have you ever taken thumbtacks?
Yes, not fun.
Describe to the fans here the feeling of something, even something so small, and a multitude driving itself into you.
It's like falling into a rose bush. That's like the most comparable thing, I guess, except not quite as bad because you don't have just quite as many points going into your skin. And really, the worst part about the thumbtacks aren't them going in; it's them coming out.
Ooh.
So when they come out, they sting. So yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, they went in, but them points have to come back out. I couldn't imagine doing it. I'm sorry. I see, you know, I love wrestling and I love to wrestle myself, but I couldn't imagine doing something like that. I've done some crazy stuff with my brothers in the backyard, you know, but I've never done that.
Right.
So, you know, we're at the point of the show here now. I want to give you a couple more minutes. If you've got some shows coming up, if you want to say something to somebody, call somebody out. If you want to give a shout out to somebody, the stage is yours.
Okay. Let's see. You can catch me in Pittsburgh coming up this weekend for PWX on Saturday. Next week, I will be on a week-long tour with Juggalo Championship Wrestling. We'll start in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and work our way all the way up to somewhere near Syracuse, New York. I can't remember the exact name, but yeah, somewhere up that way. But yeah, really, like I said, you know, the biggest thing in wrestling to remember is just to keep grinding. When you keep grinding, things will happen. Keep a positive outlook and don't settle for anything that's not you. You know, if promotions want you to do death match wrestling and you don't want to do death match wrestling, don't do death match wrestling. It only matters in the end how you see your future going and what your vision should be.
Absolutely. Choose your own path. That's how I like to say it. You know, If something's not quite working, make something that does work, because that's all part of striving and pushing forward and continuing to do what you love. Because something I tell people is that your dreams will not chase you. You have to chase them. Otherwise, they don't happen.
That's right.
So that's the best way I like to put it. After we go off the air here, there will be a 30-second clip, and then I'll be ending the live, but I'll be coming back going to talk to you
Okay.
for just a moment. So, guys, this has been an amazing episode of Talks with Judas with Congo Kong. Go ahead and say your goodbyes, brother.
Good to see everybody. Hope to catch you at an independent show somewhere soon. Keep supporting indie wrestling. We need you.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't say it better myself. I more recently in the past few years have gotten more into the indie wrestling scene, and I can tell you just from personal experience, just because WWE is the biggest company out there, that does not mean that that's where all the entertainment is. Because I can tell you there is a big difference between going to a WWE house show or sitting at home watching WWE on your TV and watching an indie wrestling match, because these guys, they don't make thousands and thousands of dollars. They come here to entertain you, and they put all their heart and soul into these matches to entertain the fans for very little money. You got to think, you're paying anywhere between $10 to $25 generally for a ticket for an indie wrestling match.
Right.
You get 100 fans in there, yeah, they do make a little bit of money on that. But you got to remember, there's another show coming up. So they have to have that money to pay the wrestlers, but they also have to have money to carry over to the next show. So guys, support your indie wrestlers. They love you guys. They want you to have the best performances in the shows out there for you. So with that, tonight has been another amazing episode of Talks with Judas, Wrestling with Bros. Hopefully be back soon enough. Talks with Judas is a little session I'd love to do on the side, but it seems becoming more and more prominent. So, but Big Baby will be back. He's dealing with stuff. He's got to get it straight. And I know I keep telling you guys that. But this is Talks with Judas. This is Judas Black. It has been an amazing episode. Thank you, Congo Kong. We appreciate you, man. Y'all have a great night. Thank you.